100%.
Mike Jeffries, who is the CEO, or probably was the CEO, ex-CEO of Abercrombie and Fitch, along with some of his business associates, were arrested in a sex trafficking probe.
Ugh.
80-year-old. He's 80. Have you seen his face?
He looks
like,
weird.
Maybe he was in an accident or something. I don't know. But if I saw him coming my way, I would probably go a different way. He looks demonic or something.
I don't know.
His romantic partner, Matthew Smith, 61. So, it's only a 20-year age difference, as well as another business associate, James Jacobson, 71. Previously described by accusers. So these individuals are serial sexual offenders, according to the New York Post. Described by accusers as a middleman who is missing his nose and covers the spot with a snakeskin patch. I think they're talking about either Matthew Smith or James Jacobson, but this is just so crazy. Federal prosecutors in Brooklyn were set to hold a news conference later Tuesday to announce the charges in the sex trafficking and interstate prostitution case.
Wow.
The arrests come roughly a year after the FBI started probing claims Jeffries allegedly orchestrated elaborate sex events. This is sounding Diddy-ish. To exploit and sexually abuse young male models during his 22-year tenure at Abercrombie and Fitch.
As soon as I saw this headline, I knew it was male victims. Because have you ever seen their posters, like in the mall and stuff? They're very sexualized. It's highly
on the males, not the females. Have you noticed that?
No, I hadn't noticed that. But the posters in general just creep me out. They're looking at the models in a way that is highly objectifying.
And it's marketed to teenagers.
Yes, so there's a grooming element.
Yeah. So this is dangerous stuff. It really does remind me. My goodness. It says 100 men. Yeah, it says in the wake of the BBC report, a class action civil suit was filed in New York last year, alleging that more than 100 men had been abused and that the fashion juggernaut turned a blind eye to Jeffries' alleged misconduct.
Oh my gosh. Well, it sounds like they're probably going to get sued.
Bradbury, then 23 and an aspiring model, told the outlet that he didn't feel safe to say no, or I don't feel comfortable with this because of the home's secluded location and presence of Jeffries' staff, who all dressed in a uniform of head to toe A&F, Abercrombie and Fitch.
Weird.
So these male models, based off of this post and a few other posts or articles that I've read, were taken to secluded homes owned by these individuals, these 70, 80-year-old disgusting men who then sexually exploited them. Jeffries was so important to the profitability of the brand that he was given complete autonomy to perform his role as CEO. There we go. No accountability, none at all. However, he saw fit, including through the use of blatant international sex trafficking and abuse of prospective Abercrombie models.
Wild. And that's in the New York Post?
Yes. So we have another case of someone in authority, someone who has a lot of affluence and influence with a lot of power in an industry that purposes to have young, attractive people involved and then takes them to secluded areas to force them to do sex acts.
Yeah.
And they felt so unsafe because they were in such a secluded area. Reminds me of Epstein.
Yes.
They were in a secluded area. Yeah. And they couldn't leave on their own ability.
And then that part that you read about how his entire staff was in uniform, it almost sounds kind of cultish. Like, I know it's not, obviously Abercrombie and Fitch is not a religious organization, but I think there's something of the same psychology there. You've got people devoted like to no exclusion, apparently, to protecting and enabling this old pervert.
Well, and supposedly he left in 2014 and has since denied the allegations, even though, he's being charged. He's being charged.
By like 100? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
I don't think, I still don't think that all those guys are lying. I don't think so.
Yeah. It's less than
more
1%.
Than 100 men are alleging abuse.
Abercrombie and Fitch since came out and said that this was appalling and disgusting, and added it had hired an outside law firm to conduct a review. Whoop-de-doo. You probably should have held him accountable while he was in the position.
Yeah.
There should never be a situation where anybody is running a company without accountability.
No.
And I think even a church without accountability, don't go to that church. You need a board of elders or something. I love the way that the book of Acts has kind of set up the church and described how it should be ran, because there's accountability there.
Yeah.
That should be the same way with any company. There should be accountability. Nobody should be able to run a company autonomously, especially that has that much influence, without accountability. This is what results. People's passions and lusts.
And I'm looking at their advertisements, and you're right. A lot of not all, but a lot of the ads that are sexual in nature are young men. Mm-hmm. There's even, I can't believe this is real. I'm not clicking on it, but there's 2 naked people on an elephant. They're not even wearing clothes. Like, how does that?
So I just typed in Abercrombie and Fitch and then clicked on images in Google, and all of them are pictures of men without their shirts on.
Yeah, and very, very, very low-cut jeans.
Yes, like you can see their love handles, if that's what you want to call them, whatever.
Yeah.
But you look at the women, they're dressed, they're covered. There's some low-cut blouses, but that's to be expected in today's industry.
Yeah, there's some midriff, but it's not nearly as with the stuff with the guys is very not. And you'll notice too, like the focus isn't even on the clothes, which I think is really weird for a clothing brand. They're selling clothes, but the focus of the photos is obviously on these guys' abs. So what, I'm curious, what does a casting call look like? Right?
I've been to quite a few casting calls when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
I used to do modeling, and the more you're willing to take off, oh, you're sweet. The more you're willing to take off, the more jobs you're going to get. That's one of the reasons I completely left. My husband, since I've become a Christian, has encouraged me to get back into it, but I just don't see an outlet for that. Quite honestly, I would rather use my face to promote child safety.
Yeah. Yeah. No, there's this one ad. A lot of these are guys together too. So there's definitely this kind of naked guys together, sort of not quite naked, but some of them are pretty much naked and
pretty.
There's one where a guy is kissing a girl. He's with 2 girls at once. The girls are fully clothed in flannel, very baggy flannel shirts. He is not. So yeah, there's definitely...
Look at this. I'm going to show you my screen. So this is what comes up when I just type in Abercrombie and Fitch, okay?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm seeing too.
You see just a bunch of men, young men, college-age men, without shirts on, right? Yeah. Like the same stuff. You go down a little bit, and I saw... Let me see if I can find it again. Look at this. This was from 1909. Abercrombie and Fitch catalog. My, how things have changed. Wow, 100 years later, and now we're that other. Look at this. Yeah. Why is this okay? This is not okay. This is from a staffer from Abercrombie and Fitch in LA, but I don't see the same for women. So it doesn't. Look at that. There's one woman, a bunch of dudes in their boxers.
Yeah.
There's something wrong here. So it's not above the realm of possibility that Mike Jeffries indeed did facilitate sex trafficking
Yeah.
And I'm sure as time goes by, we're going to learn more information about this. But
What's really sad is like you see these images, and I mean, I remember even seeing some of these sorts of ads, not these same ads, obviously, but these kind of ads. When I was a teen, knowing even at the time, I was like, that's a little odd. They're focusing so much on the models' bodies and not on the clothes. Like, what are they marketing here? And I think that gives us kind of a window, an insight into how the company, the executives are thinking.
Yeah.
And that's what they're interested in. They're interested in sexualizing their models.
Look at the way this Abercrombie and Fitch manager is like holding on to these two male models like they're accessories. I guess there's a documentary that came out also. Let's see if I can find it again. The Abercrombie and Fitch documentary reveals how power decides what's cool. Look at this guy's face. Like very much controlled by these sickos. Like, how are you going to promote a clothing line when the male models aren't wearing any clothing?
And I'm telling you, there's this one ad, and I need to verify that it's real, but there's one ad where two totally naked people sitting on an elephant. There's no clothes in the entire picture. Like, why is this a clothing ad? It's bizarre.
I think that there's many situations where companies start off great and then they allow someone who has debased mind to come into the company, and that company goes down south really, really fast.
Yeah.
And I think that is the unfortunate case with Abercrombie and Fitch.
Yeah. Well, it's very clear that someone with a very perverse mind was heavily influencing their ads. This is like basically porn.
Yeah.
Some of this stuff we can't even show on. It's just not appropriate. There's naked people.